Now we really get to talk about Black Ops 3 and custom zombies for realsies.
For real? Holy shit.
I know, for
I
real.
don't do all that.
It's very nice to communicate about the things that we love, including but not limited to zombies. So, would you mind introducing yourself, Figglebottom?
Alright, so I'm Figglebottom. Hello. Also known as Illuminati Donut.
Well, how'd you get started with scripting?
You know, I was a fan of Black Ops 3 and I wanted to make maps and stuff. And then, like, when you learn the tools, you kind of learn, like, oh, you have to, like, code shit to, like, make shit. And back then, I didn't really know how to code. And that's kind of, like, how I first started coding was, like, through the mod tools. And then just, like, I went to school for computer science. And that's when I, like, learned a lot more and, like, got better at it. And that's kind of, like, how I am where I'm at today.
Right, so it's like just a mix of wanting to get into the mod tools itself, plus real life has gotten you pretty far. I mean, you just released the remaster of Lighthouse.
Oh yeah.
How was the reception to that? Did you find it mostly positive? A little bit of negativity in there?
I don't know. It's kind of the same thing as the last one because I had the original map and then I remastered it. So in the remaster, I think definitely a lot more improvements, but like a lot of the flaws are kind of still there. So I kind of expected like some comments about some of the same stuff. Thing is, it's like a remaster of like a Roblox map already, and then like remastering that again. So it's like, you know, I couldn't really change much of the game design. Well, I could if I wanted to, but I kind of wanted to like maintain like the same.
Yeah, you wanted it to be like a
stuff.
faithful remaster to the original Roblox game.
Yes, and that includes a step that's very RNG heavy, and people really don't like that, I guess. So that's like the one big complaint I got. Yeah.
Yeah, so the differences between the map you just made and the original Roblox map are pretty much non-existent. You think you were pretty faithful to adapting it?
Yes, I mean, like, obviously just like the detailing and stuff. Dingus definitely helped me a lot with that, and like making it look like an actual, you know, zombies map. Because the one I had before was like looked more like Roblox than it did like a real zombies map. So he definitely like helped spice it up. But everything else, pretty faithful. I even got the weapons in there, even got the cat in there. Uh, yeah, I guess like if I wanted to like I pretty much added everything I wanted to with that. That's kind of the point of me remastering it was like after like I kind of knew more about the tools, I wanted to add everything I kind of missed the first time, and I had like better connections with people.
Right, because Lighthouse was your second map you made. First map was one window.
Nah. So the lighthouse map was the first map I made, and then people wanted me to make more of the maps like within Michael Zombies, which is like what the Roblox game is called.
Yeah, who the fuck is Michael?
Dude, it's the fucking cat. I don't know, man.
It's the cat? No, because it says
the
Michael.
cat.
It's Michael Zombies, but you made
Yeah.
it.
No,
So it should be like
I
Figgle
don't know.
Zombies or something like that.
No, because it's a Roblox game and it's made by these two guys, Kyle's and Joe. I think Joe left recently, actually, or like a year ago. I'm not too sure.
Oh snap!
And they call it Michael Zombies because it's like the cat's like the meme of the cat standing up. So they just implemented that in everything. I don't know.
Michael Zombies.
Yeah. Yes, dude. Yeah, it's a weird game, bro. I don't know.
Well, the reception seems really great on it. It's currently sitting at almost 6,000 current subscribers. Are you happy with that number?
Yeah, I think for like the first time around, like I was kind of like had an idea of like where it would be at, and right now I think it's already surpassed the original, which I'm proud of. And less time too, so it kind of goes to show like I've like gotten better, I guess. Like the numbers kind of show that. It's pretty much what like I didn't really expect it, but it's like around the same ballpark, you know. So
yeah, it's a little
I'm
better.
pretty proud of
Definitely
that.
improved. The map looks fantastic.
Yeah,
Dingus did a
thank you.
great job with like the detailing and everything. How was working in a partnership like that? What was workflow like?
Yeah, so I already did a partnership before with the 2 Fort map I worked on. So it's pretty much the same thing. I just like messaged Dingus. Well, me and Dingus were in a voice call. I was like, oh, like if you want to help me remaster this, and he's like, yeah, sure. And I'll be honest, it probably wasn't as productive as, you know, it could have been, because obviously it's a hobby, right? And like
Mhm.
nobody's like like I didn't pay him or anything, so you kind
Not
of
on
just like took,
payroll? Oh, snap.
yeah. So so we took our time with it. He like pretty much mapped like like 80% of the map in like the first 2 days, and then like the next like month or so, I was it was just like, oh, how's the map going? And he was like, oh, I'm just doing other stuff. And like I can't really blame him. I'm kind of doing the same thing with him right now on some other projects he's working on. So
Yeah, I
that's
feel it.
just kind of how it is sometimes, you know.
Mhm.
But it gets done. So
So it was about a month and a half from conception to release of this map?
I'd have to check. Maybe like more like 2 months or 2.5 months.
That's a pretty quick workaround time. I assume it helps having the original framework for the map and it being a remaster that really kind of cuts down on time on like both mapping and scripting.
Yeah, because the original map when I first made it took like 3 months to make, and that was mostly because I was like sort of it was my first map, so I was kind of like part of it was like learning as I went, and that was like my first time mapping something, and actually probably like my only time I'm probably gonna map something, because I learned that mapping is a motherfucker, and I should probably just leave that to other people that know how to do it. So that's definitely how I kind of look at it from now on. Um, but yeah, it definitely helped having like the original stuff there, and then like enhancing it, like seeing where I did wrong and like where I can improve.
Mhm.
Was definitely nice to like look at and see.
Yeah, was it easy sharing ideas with Dingus saying like, okay, this is what I want different with this version? Was that communication fairly easy? Was he pretty on time with getting you what you wanted, or did he take some creative liberties that you thought were great and kind of improved a few sections, or was it pretty straightforward?
So pretty much how it happened was like I just asked him, hey, like make this map look, because like I kind of gave him this task, and he was like, oh well, how do you want me to do it? And I kind of told him just to make it like look more realistic, and like just make it like a proper looking map, because the original map is pretty much just a bunch of polygons and like 2D tech, like flat planes, flat textures. And Dingus kind of took it in his own direction, which I do appreciate, because it definitely looks a lot better than what I envisioned. The original map was like a grassy like island type thing, with like pine trees everywhere. But it's an island, and it's not really realistic to have an island. So he kind of brought like the realism into it with like the sand and the palm trees and like the foliage and the rocks.
Mhm.
So it definitely like is like fit. It fits. I think it fits better as like an island map, and that's something that I didn't really like direct him to do. That's just something that he did, which I kind of appreciate. Some people like kind of want to like have controls of their ideas, but especially with this one, I didn't really have like any specific idea like to take it except for like remastering it.
Mhm.
It definitely helped.
No, yeah, I think that's like the best workflow is when it's you just trust the person to do
Yeah,
like their own thing, and especially when working on something that's collaborative or can be independent, it's very jarring when you end up working with a person and then they give you something and you either it's what you want or what you don't. And if it's what you don't want, you feel terrible when you're like, well, this isn't this isn't what I want. Let's try to do something else. I think I've
yeah.
had it really great working with Fanatic on Evil Dead
Hmm.
and some upcoming projects. But definitely that collaboration with another person, it can make and break some maps.
Yeah, and there's the other side of that coin too, where it's like he'll do something I don't like, and I have to tell him like, hey, like this shit's like not good, like you gotta change it, and like we'll kind of like joke about it, but like at the end of the day, it's like he'll understand. Like it kind of like helps you become better in a way. Like when someone tells you like, oh, they want to take it a different direction, it kind of helps you like improve what you want to do, or just like the collaboration process in general.
Hmm.
But I think because this is sort of like my or like map, like Dingus also knew that like it was sort of my creative direction. Some people like to like take creative control over something that's like not really theirs, but there's also like this one was mostly like my map, and he kind of understood that. Like the 2 fort map I'm working on, me and Thorito are working on, that's sort of more of like a 50-50 type of thing, where we have to like I mean, you're in the calls with me and him are like discussing the Easter eggs for that. Like
Yeah.
we go back and forth. It's not like, oh, since it's my map, I have say in it. It has to be like we have to like kind of sort of come to like a mutual agreement on something before we add it.
Yeah, definitely coming to an understanding makes things work better when it's more of a 50-50 map.
Yeah. But when it came to this lighthouse map, like he knew, like, you know, it didn't really matter. Like I obviously took his consideration into account, and for the most part, we didn't have any disagreements. But it came down to it, like I sort of have more of the control into that.
Yeah, it's your baby. You want to see your baby
Yeah,
flourish,
and
and
not in a bad way or anything. It's
Mhm.
just like, you know, I'm helping Dingus on some stuff, and like I wouldn't tell him how to change his map because that's like his vision. Like I give him recommendations, obviously, and he can choose whether to follow them or not. You know, I don't really have the say in that.
No, yeah, that's like the best thing you could do is just like taking that advice and seeing if it does work for what you're going for and the vision that you have.
The vision.
The vision. You were telling me that you were a fan of zombies before you got into the tools. What was your favorite like zombies game and that really inspired you to start working on this?
Even when I was younger, like I think like I got into like Call of Duty at a really young age. My dad got Black Ops 1. I think my mother gave him Black Ops 1 for as a Father's Day gift. And I kind of like sabotaged that from him, and like that's how I got into Call of Duty. Zombies in general, like one of my friends like showed me the zombies mode, and I guess like I've just been hooked ever since. Black Ops 3 specifically is when I remember like really getting involved. That's like pretty much when the community was like probably at its peak, and like honestly like the game too, just like the mechanics and the gameplay. But mod tools itself, I remember back in the day, like when the mod tools first came out, there was this guy, I forgot his name. He was working on the original Mob of the Dead remaster, and like he would have these like dev logs and like showcase what the tools were, like how he added stuff in the map, his scripting help, and like did like regular updates of what he was working on. And it kind of like it was his first like custom map too, and it made me realize like, oh shit, like
I think that was
anybody can
Jarek.
just Jarek. I think it was somebody else, but I think he worked on it as well.
Jarek or Cypress, I believe.
I think I should pull up the credits real quick because I was gonna mention this, but like right after he released it, like a day later, he took all of his social medias down and like kind of just like left the face of the earth and like deleted the map, and like someone else had to re-upload it.
Oh,
And
really?
apparently there was like a lot more people helping behind the scenes that like he just didn't credit at all. So it's
Oh.
pretty unfortunate to hear that. I don't know, like it still left an impact on me, like
Mhm.
that like someone could just like make shit like that. And that's kind of like what involved me in the tools when they first came out. But I kind of just like I didn't really like do anything with them until like 2021. Like before it was just more like experimenting on and off, you know.
Yeah, I feel like I started my first Call of Duty was Black Ops 2, and I just
Mhm.
remember playing Transit and just being like scared shitless of it. And
Mhm.
when it came to like Black Ops 3, I had played Shadows a little bit, but I mainly focused on the Giant,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think I kind of fell out of the game by DLC 2. Like I did not play Zetsubo no Shima at all.
Yeah. I think that's like where most people like dropped out of Black Ops 3, because that's what I did for like a short while, and then like I think when like Revelations came out, I started playing the maps again, and like that's kind of when I discovered the joy in it. I don't know.
Mhm. I think a lot of people, I myself might be might be projecting here, but a lot of people who grew up watching World at War custom maps
Yeah.
or worked on World at War custom maps when Black Ops 3 customs were like announced and in the works. I think that was like a leading factor for a lot of people. I remember not being too into like game design or anything like that. I was like
Mhm.
solely working on like my short films and all that.
Mhm.
And I just remember like COVID hit and I thought, what am I going to do with my spare time?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool to just make my friend's house in zombies? So
It's
I
always the My House maps that
yeah,
like get
yeah.
people.
So like I feel like all like mappers begin with just making their house or making a friend's house or something like that. But that's
Yeah.
how I kind of jumped in really late in the scene, I feel.
Mhm.
Yeah, start of COVID, I first started developing my maps and then I don't think I released anything until 2023. I think that's when Evil Dead came or yeah, Evil Dead came out.
I feel that's kind of like most of us, like in our like small little community we formed. Like that's kind of how it went.
Yeah, just a
Um,
bunch of late starters.
yeah, like because even though like I sort of like had my start like when the tools like first came out for BO3, was like very brief stuff. I was never not really heavily involved, and then like I actually like started like communicating like in the community in like 2023 ish, more so like when I like March 2024 is when I like mostly started,
Mhm.
actually like full focus on this thing.
I definitely remember just like learning about DevRaw
Hmm.
and then just plummeting into the community on Discord and learning about the mod tools
Yeah.
Discord and everything like that. I think that was
Hmm.
around sometime before summer of 2023.
It's interesting. You always see this like new wave of like people, even though like the game's pretty much like that, like almost 10 years old at this point. Like there's always like some sort of interest in the game, and you kind of get to see like different people come and go, or like some people like stay like the whole time. There's people who have been modding since the World at War days, and they're still still have the love for the game and for the mods in
Mhm.
general. It's really cool to see.
No, I have had the pleasure of talking to so many amazing people since I've joined the scene, and a few people I know like have been modding since World at War, and they're like, "Well, I think it's time I put the hat up. I'm done with modding." I'm like, "What, dude? You've been doing this so long. You gotta keep
Yeah.
making peak. You gotta keep going."
Mhm. What I noticed is that like people will leave, but they always come back somehow. Like you have like what's his name, like Jaybird. He quit and then he came back for the contest map. There's
Hmm.
always just like, even if it's just like for a small short period of time. Like I think even Bros at one point when he had his kid, he said he was quitting mod tools and he like dumped his maps in the workshop, but he's still making maps.
Oh
Uh,
no, yeah, bro, it's
just
always
had this
coming
C
through.
block survival. Yes, for real, man.
Yeah, even people like Madgaz, I know took a little break, and
Hmm.
now he's coming back. I think Hybes, he released the Crazy Place, and then he was like,
Hmm.
"Okay, I'm good. I'm done with the mod tools." And then he's come back and he just released the freaking amazing map. But
Hmm.
it's like, I don't know. I feel like I want to at some point be done with mod tools in the distant
Yeah.
future, but I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
It'll always just kind of be here.
No, yeah. Like I noticed like a lot of people will like try to branch off and do like their own thing. Because like the bad thing about modules is that there's like no money in it. Like I mean, there's like the Patreons and stuff, but
You don't want to pull a Danny.
yeah, exactly. But like people not only I feel like they don't want to just like make money off it, but they want a product that's like 100% theirs.
Hmm.
Um, but you don't see a lot of like I can I don't think you see a lot of like people like successfully doing that, which is quite unfortunate, honestly. But maybe I just haven't talked to the right people who've done it well.
Yeah, I don't really know. I know people who have told me, yeah, this person was like a mapper, this person was a scripter, and now
Hmm.
they've gone on to work at Treyarch or something.
Oh yeah,
I'm
there's
like,
that.
how do
Yeah.
I get there? I'm like, what?
Hmm.
But then and then there's some people who are just kind of, yeah, always coming and going, and it's a crazy community to be in.
Yeah, it's like I don't. I didn't even like expect to like be a part of this thing.
Hmm.
Like I didn't expect to be like I don't know about you, but like in real life, like none of my friends like fucking under like when I say oh Black Ops 3 mod tools, like oh there he is back in his tools. Like I quite honestly like couldn't name a single person in like my real life that like even have shown an interest in this, and like to like find a community that like shares my interests is kind of cool to see. I don't
See,
know.
now that's a very unique perspective because I feel like a bunch of people in my real life, they're always asking me, "Bro, when's the map releasing?" I'm working on it, dude. I'm
Yeah.
I'm working on it like every day, man.
That's crazy, man. I wish.
And then sometimes I'll let it slip that I'm like working on a game to my family,
Mhm.
and they'll start asking questions and they're like, "Wait, so it's
Oh
not like
yeah.
a real game?" I'm like, "Well, no,
Oh,
it's a part of a game, but it's like a
oh yeah.
mod
I
for
gotta
it."
keep that shit lock and key. I do not want my parents like berating me with that shit. Yeah.
The amount of times my
Uh,
grandma's asked me, "So when are you gonna make money?" I'm like, I'm not. It's
yeah. Yeah, it'd be cool to make money off of this. Like just like game dev in general. I
Mhm.
really like you were talking about like you want to quit in the future. I think that's like my next step logically. Even though I just talked about like it not succeeding for a lot of people, but then you did mention like people have moved on to work at Eric or Sledgehammer.
I feel like I don't want I don't want to quit. Like that's a like
Hmm.
a distant future thing because I find it
Yeah.
just very therapeutic and fun to
Yeah.
just work on maps, even if
Hmm.
you get into a headache and you've got like a quote unquote writer's block when you're working on a map. But I feel like
Yeah.
being a scripter yourself, you are in like a
Mhm.
rather high commodity of people in the tools because a lot of people get in here for mapping and they don't know anything about scripting. But you're kind of like the opposite. You don't really like the mapping part. You're more focused on like the code and everything.
Yeah.
How much of a different experience is it being a scripter in this community?
I don't know. I would just say like first of all, like the scripting aspect just sort of came out of from like when like I first started out doing the tools, it was all just like myself. Like I wasn't even like involved in the community at all.
Mhm.
And like, you know, the phrase like if you want something done, just like do it yourself. So like I wanted some stuff like coded into it. So I just learned how to code, and that's kind of like
It came out of more of a necessity to want to
yeah.
make better maps.
And then when I got went into school for it, I just got like better and better at it. And then when I finally got like involved in the community per se, I already it was mostly when I like started my TF2 zombies map and I sort of collaborated with Dorito. It was more like, oh, I already have someone mapping this for me, so like I don't really have to worry about that part. But there are some things that like that aren't necessarily mapping and that aren't necessarily like scripting
Mhm.
that like it's kind of the middle road, and I feel like I like also had to end up like figuring that stuff out, like the rigging and modeling and stuff.
Yeah, because when you're working on like mapping, you're usually mainly focused in Radiant,
Yes.
and I feel like a lot of like everything else, you're just doing it in like Maya, Blender, or you're in different softwares. What's the workflow like when you're in those different softwares?
Well, obviously there's Ape, which is the worst program I've ever used in my life.
Oh yeah, tell me
Uh,
about it.
yeah. Me and Preventus were talking about trying to remake it from the ground up, but that's in the very early stages. I don't know
I would
how much I
love
can
to
say
see
about
it. You
that.
know what? You don't even
Yeah.
need to like remake it from the ground up. You just need to make it so that when I click on it, it opens. Like that would be
Yes,
amazing.
yes. Or like when you check a box, it doesn't like freeze for 20 seconds, you know?
Hmm.
Because like honestly, like just having that like improved on would definitely like I feel like I would save more time just remaking it and then using it than just like considering using Ape for another goddamn second of my life. Oh my god.
I don't know about a complete remake. I think a quality of life patch, but
Yeah.
that would take the community by storm.
Yeah. It's kind of hard though because we don't have like the source code for it, or maybe we do. I don't know. But like you kind of like you can't really like mess with anything because it's like already there.
Hmm. So I'm thinking like something like Virgo's Radiant, but for ape, like Figgle's ape,
Yeah.
something like that.
I think the way I don't know how Verco made that tool, but I think it like kind of like it just like messes with the parameters of things. While the issue with Ape is like the actual application itself, so that can't really
Mm.
be. But I don't know. I haven't looked into it enough yet, so maybe there is.
It's
Maybe
just
I'm
a it's just
wrong.
a pie in the sky idea.
Yeah. What else? You're talking about the tools I use. So there's Ape, and that's a lot of just like managing the assets, and then there's Maya, which I use a lot, which is just like for models, animations, stuff like that, rigging, which is a pain in the ass a lot of the time. And then I, especially for all the TF2 stuff I've been working on, I've been using Blender because Blender has a nice extension where you can just like pull the assets out from that game and the animations out of that game. So I've been using that a lot. Um, what else? I'm trying to think of what else.
Like, do you use
Uh,
a Sublime for a text editor? What do you use for that?
I use VS Code. I used to use Sublime, but then VS Code has like a nice like AI tools you can use for that. So I kind of switched to that. Also, just like it's just nicer to use. There's a lot of uh better quality of life things in VS Code as compared to Sublime.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think what else. That might be it. I mean, obviously, I use Radiant for like I do maps and stuff like small stuff, but mostly just like you gotta like code stuff like
Yeah, you
in
just
Radiant
gotta
also.
test things out, make sure everything's working
Hmm.
correctly. Well, with those tools in mind and bringing everything together, when you're actually
Hmm.
coding a map, what is your approach? Do you usually go kind of like broad? I'm gonna do the big things first and then worry about the small things, Do you go just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna save that massive thing for later. Let me work on this little easy thing, or is it kind of like a mix of everything?
I feel like I just work on the stuff that interests me the most because like I pretty much just plan everything out. I plan all my features out. The Lighthouse mapper is like small enough where I didn't really need to write anything out. But for some other projects I've been working on, I've been like planning that all out. But yeah, just doing the stuff I'm interested in first, like definitely like keeps me more excited and engaged. And when I get bored of something, I kind of just move on to like the next thing and then like go back to it when I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's also nice to like do that because like if you have like everything like 80% done, you kind of get more of like a scope of like what your map's gonna look like. So you can like change things, uh, like if need be. Also, I'm pretty sure like there's a quote. I don't even remember what it is. It's pretty much like the first 80% will take less time than the last 20% of what you're working on. I kind of keep that in mind when I like make stuff because I could like spend hours just like fixing one small issue and then like I might have to like scrap it entirely. So it's nice to like sort of get like everything else like workable and then like just making everything nice like after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of how I approach everything.
Well, yeah, I should definitely try to use that approach. Mine is detail everything and then move on to the
Uh-huh.
next thing and then realize the thing I just detailed was shit. So I go
Mhm.
back and completely redo
Then
it.
you detail it again, and then you scrap half the map, and then you
Yeah, no, because I've done those things where it's like, okay, I finished this room,
Mhm.
and then I come back to it like 2 months later. I'm like, well, I'm taking this room out now because it's not working
Yeah.
with what I'm currently going
Mhm.
for.
Yeah, I can understand that to a degree.
So with the new map, Lighthouse that has just come out, have you gone back to look at some of the old maps like Two Fort and One Window and like compare the working experiences from Lighthouse to those?
So pretty much like how one window was just like I made a Michael Zombies map. People wanted more Michael Zombies maps, and I'm like, well, this will take me less than a day to make. So I kind of just threw that together, and I've actually went back and fixed some of the issues with that one also. I think that one, like the music, you couldn't turn down the music, so it's just like this
Oh yeah,
blaring
I've got
loud music
that.
throughout
I've
the
got
whole
that
map.
problem with Evil
Eh,
Dead, and I messed up some
oh
of the
yeah,
prefabs, so I can't go back and fix it.
yeah. Yeah, sounds are a bitch. That's what I've learned. Um, but definitely my workflow has definitely improved, especially like now with my older maps. Like I don't do the mapping anymore. I have someone else do the mapping, and also just like again, sort of what I said earlier. I used to just be a perfectionist and perfect everything before I moved on to something else. And I kind of realized that I kind of have to tone that back to a degree. Like obviously you want all your code to be nice, but like it's better to like, get a scope of what the whole project's gonna look like before you keen in on those details.
You ever hit like a barrier that you just can't think of a solution for recently?
Yeah, sometimes those have been like more far in between now. I think now that I like learned more of like what to do. And you have the discords to ask for help and people are usually really nice and they help you out with those sort of things, but like when there's like a big issue, that's like sort of when I'll just move on to something else and like revisit it later, especially like if I've tried for like a couple hours and like nothing's come up. It's like, okay, I gotta take a break, do something else, and then come back to that and see if I see something like that I didn't see before.
Got to rest up. Got to make sure
Mhm.
everything's a okay. Go a little EP, sleep on it.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, people will be in the voice call when I'm like tweaking over something that I can't solve. Like it's bad. I don't know. And then I yap about it to like 7 different people. And like, yeah, man, I don't know. And it's just like it's just not a fun time. But I think like more recently, I've been able to figure out all the things that I want to do. I think the only things I can't really figure out are like UI stuff because coding in Lua is just a motherfucker. And doing stuff with like shaders, but that was like a very ambitious project I was working on. So I don't know if I would really dabble in those that much.
Hmm.
I mean, I do like the simple UI stuff, but just like with like menus and like
Yeah, just kind of like
stuff like that.
easy HUD stuff. Well,
Hmm.
speaking of ambitious projects, do you have anything coming up in the future that you'd be willing to talk about?
Sure, yeah, I have a couple I've been working on. So,
I don't want to get into like too much spoiler territory if you want to keep things like tight-lipped. So I'll try
I
to.
don't. I'm not really a tight-lipped guy, so it's like I know you have your secrets, Mold, but I won't be sharing those tonight. Maybe another time. We'll see.
Yeah, another time.
But the 2 fort map was a Noah J contest, and I already like went back and like fixed a lot of the issues I had with it. But I really wanted to like expand on that. So I'm definitely gonna do like a 2 fort expansion where just like it has like a full-fledged like Treyarch level like Easter egg and cutscenes and
Ooh.
voice lines and wonder weapons and cosmetics and emotes and just like
Oh,
I just
that
want
sounds
to fill that
amazing.
thing.
No, I've seen a few like snippets here and there of what you've been working on, and it
Mhm.
looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. And it's still like a long way from being done, even like as much progress we've made. But like, I really want that. That's definitely gonna be like my magnum opus of a map. Like that's gonna be like literally everything I've just been working on into that. And then definitely gonna be more TF2 stuff after that. Another project I'm working on with Saint Vertigo. We're doing a whole new map that I think he's talked about it, but I don't want to say much about that one yet.
Yeah, we'll keep it on the hush hush.
hmm And then more Michael Zombie stuff. People have been asking me to do uh the other maps. So I definitely want to finish up those 2 other maps that are left, which is like the Noct. It's the Undead Nocturne, which is like a Noct remake thing. And I already had some like decent progress on that, but like I need again like my mapping skills are terrible, so like it's sort of like just like what I have right now is just like my like when I mapped it, but I really want that to be like spiced up by someone else. Maybe I'll get Dingus to do it or
Or
something.
maybe you can get someone in like this interview to do that for you if you'd like.
So if you'd be willing to, Mold, you can hop on that.
I'd be willing to. I'd want to see it first and see like the scope of the project. And I also know you like to get maps out, and I'm a very slow worker, so.
Yeah. But yeah, you could definitely hop on that. And I'm not talking about the map. Uh, Also, I'm trying to think of my other Oh yes, there's the Michael Barrow map that people have been begging me. Like that's more comments than I get on. I get more comments about that than 2 Fort. Like they
Really?
begged me to make Michael Barrow, so I'm definitely gonna get a start on that. And I've also been in contact with like the developers of the original game, and they've been helping me with like UI stuff and other things like that. So maybe I can get more help with them on that too. So we'll see about that.
Yeah, how does that communication with the original developers of Michael Zombies go? Have you reached out to them first, or was it kind of like just I don't know? I'm gonna assume you reached out to them first, or did you make the original Lighthouse map and they reached out to you?
So what happened is I made the original like Lighthouse map, and then I guess like someone on the Discord sent it to them. I didn't even know they had a Discord at first, and they saw it, and then they played it, and then I started like joining their Discord, and they gave me like a mini shout out. And then when I was working on the remaster, I friended one of them, and he added me back almost instantly. He was like, "Oh my god, you're the guy! You make the fucking remasters!" And I was like, "Yeah." And he helped me out with some stuff, which was really kind of him. Just like DMs here and there. It hasn't really been like a lot of contact I
Mhm.
had.
Well, it must be surreal, like making a project in Roblox and
hmm
then seeing somebody adapt that project into the actual zombies game mode itself.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, but those guys are like good game devs in their own right. Like I've seen some stuff that they've been working on for like for the future of that game, and it's like honestly like better than like anything I would ever make. So it's just really cool to see that.
Oh shit.
Like game devs admiring other game devs.
I know, I love it. I love seeing other game
Yeah.
devs work and their thought
Mhm.
processes and just like
Yeah.
hearing lingo, like when I watch like old Treyarch interviews with like Jason Blundell and stuff, and he like talks and he
hmm
says the word radiant. He's like,
Oh
oh yeah, we
yeah.
bring it into radiant. I'm like, oh dude, I know that.
Or like when you watch like like I remember the Black Ops 6 like reveal stuff, they showed like their new version of Radiant. I was just
Mhm.
like, holy shit, it's the fucking thing. Like that was
Dude,
crazy. So
that's I know that. Oh, I remember
yeah.
it, like I think it leaked on Twitter or something like the I think it was T9 Radiant or whatever they used to make Cold War, and they were
Oh
making
yeah.
mountains and stuff. I was like, what the I was like, what the hell? I need
Yeah.
that so much.
I really wish we had access to like better tools or like honestly like people are kind of opposed to BO6 mod tools because they don't really like that game, but like I feel like day one of a BO6 mod tools coming out, people will just like reverse engineer it to like run like how BO3 used to run.
I would love a Black Ops 6 mod tools, or just like mod tools for any of the future Call of Duty games in general. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a lot of maps would kind of play like Black Ops 6, but I'm,
Mm-hmm.
100% people would definitely figure out like how to port everything and make it feel like
Mm-hmm.
the older games. And you'd probably get
Yeah.
like a release on Devra, which is like Black Ops 4 aesthetic for for Black Ops 6 customs.
Yeah.
Is
And
something
people
like customs in the future a dream for you? Would you like move on to that, or would you stick with Black Ops 3?
I feel like I would definitely go over to like a future COD if they ever released a mod tool, because it's pretty much like, this game's been out for like how long, and there's like so many outdated like features and stuff.
Mhm.
But not only that, just like the audience for that would be a lot bigger because it's like a lot more recent. So like it would be really cool to get like, because you kind of have like an estimate like how many people like at most you'll see like 500,000 subscribers on a map, which is like still a huge amount.
Oh
But
yeah,
like,
that's a
just imagine,
solid number.
but like on a modern COD, like it'd be cool to see that go up to like the millions or something like that. Like I
Mhm.
just feel like, yeah, the more people who that like get involved in the tools is the better. It's kind of unfortunate that like the new way of how COD does things, like they really like, you know, they kind of rely on the newer CODs to like bring in revenue, and like mods kind of bring like a permanence to the game, I feel like.
Yeah, no, that's
That's kind of why people are still talking about this game like 10 years later. Um,
having the
so I
community
feel
add
like,
support to a pre-existing game is like a surefire way to keep that game
mhm,
going in like the
mhm,
zeitgeist. But at the same time, it's not as much of a moneymaker as it is to just release a new Call of Duty game once a
exactly.
year. So I feel like Activision should take a note out of Fortnite and just have like a level editor where people can make experiences
Mhm,
that aren't, Fortnite Battle Royale, or just kind of it just makes something different. And
mhm,
I don't know, like if a map does well or if an experience does well, it doesn't even need to be zombies. Like they could have like a feature page where they just like, here's
mhm.
what's like the cool thing this week or this
Yeah.
month. I feel like that could definitely boost longevity, not only for like the Call of Duty game that's out at the time, but just like the Call of
Mhm.
Duty HQ, just keeping people in that HQ. Because I feel like
Yeah.
it's completely pointless right now unless you go from Black Ops 6 to Warzone to MW3. But most
Mhm.
people I know, like once a new COD game comes out, they just uninstall the old one, even if it's in the same HQ. I
Yeah.
like MW3 is off my Xbox, and the only thing I have installed is like Warzone and Black Ops 6.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was gonna mention, was like they're already kind of halfway there with the COD HQ, but they don't. It's not like they don't really do anything with it, and like they've always like toyed around with the idea like, okay, maybe we, have it like a year or two for a COD game and just like release DLC instead. But like they kind of like back out on it because like they've already released one a year every year for how many years? Like I guess they don't want to break that streak.
Mhm.
But I feel like Call of Duty would be so beneficial if we just had one Call of Duty, and every year we just got a new campaign, new multiplayer maps with new weapons and new zombie maps. Because even if it's on the same engine, honestly, because sort of like splitting up your studios on working on like one game, and just like because I feel like they have to restart from the ground up every 3 years with like each studio, and I feel like it'd be a lot more beneficial for sort of like a Fortnite model where it's just like it's the same game, you play the same game, but there's always new content that's going to be there, especially like if they added like module support for that, like because not only would you increase longevity for that, but like also like you could sell your bundles, you could sell your battle passes,
Mhm.
and like it would be like straight off the studios to like make a whole new game every year, because like literally the fucking like the work environments for like game studios have not been like really like they really cram those people to
Yeah,
work
the
like
the devs
long hours and
the
stuff.
devs working on Call of Duty, they
Mm-hmm.
are so overworked all the time. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I want to work for Treyarch, but at the same time, like
Yeah.
I would feel like I see what's going on. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be like a full part of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the COD HQ right now is kind of at like a half step where it's like it
Mm-hmm.
wants to be Fortnite with your free to play Warzone, but at the same time they're charging you a premium service for the mainline Call of Duty, but still having
Mm-hmm.
these freemium mechanics. And I say, if
Mm.
you're just gonna freemium me, make Call of Duty free. I wouldn't mind it. And you don't even need to get like
Yeah,
full customs in there, like to the extent that we have it. I would love if
yeah.
we did. We probably
Mhm.
won't if it ever does happen, but at least something for the community to make maps with the assets that they have, and maybe the ability to port some assets over, and just
Mhm.
working in that environment and making content for a game that already exists. I feel like it would take less strain off of developers' backs because they can focus on big projects and big innovations instead of something
Yeah,
like The Tomb, where it's like, oh, this is a small map for players to just have like casually halfway through the year. And then
yeah.
they can focus on more things like a Terminus or like a Citadel de
Mhm.
More.
Yeah. Also, like, if you only had, like, one studio, like, work on a single game mode, I feel like that would definitely, like, increase the quality of everything as well, you know?
Yeah, I feel I don't know if it would be impractical to have one studio for an entire game mode. I feel like it
Mm,
would be awesome. It would be awesome to
mm,
just have like all of Treyarch working on zombies. But then
mhm.
again, a lot of people at Treyarch, they do make fantastic multiplayers. And
Oh, yeah.
Treyarch multiplayers are often my favorite. So I would
Mm,
want honestly Treyarch to work on both multiplayer and zombies, and maybe
mhm.
Sledgehammer can handle like post launch content because MW3's post launch was great, and then
Yeah.
Infinity Ward can kind of go fuck themselves because they've just made stinker after stinker.
Yeah.
But I
Uh,
feel like there is like a solid middle ground in there if they were to go with the free to play
mm,
aspect of the COD HQ. I feel like this halfway bullshit is like it's not working. They should definitely go
yeah.
either all in or go back to a premium experience.
Yeah, I agree. More the latter, I feel like.
Well, getting back on topic to more of custom zombies instead of like the full main Treyarch experiences. How is it that you receive a lot of feedback on your maps? Do you mainly take it from the Steam Workshop, or do you often go to like YouTube videos and watch those and try to listen to what the person is saying and then apply that feedback either to fix patches and work on the current map or apply feedback to future projects?
So I kind of do a mix of both. On every single one of my maps, I have like a discussion pin saying like, "Oh, there's glitches and bugs." Like, just comment here, and like for the most part, people will just comment there, and I'll like figure things out. Or I'll watch YouTube videos, and someone will run into a bug, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I gotta go back and fix that," and I'll do that. And then for like feedback, like I feel like the workshop, like I don't know, some people like in the comments of workshop items, I feel like they feel like they're entitled to your work.
Hmm.
It's like, but like I feel like they're just getting fed free content and they complain about it sometimes. Like I get to the degree if you make a shit map, someone's gonna tell you it's a shit map. Like that's obviously like a given, you know. But sometimes people are like, oh, this should have been like the best map of all time, and like this is horrible, and you suck. And it's just like, okay, that's like a
Yeah,
little
it's
bit
like
too
what am
much.
I supposed to do with that information?
Yeah, it's like I worked on this on my spare time, like for
Yeah.
free, and you know, obviously there's like a certain level where it's like,
Yeah, I find that there's a good middle ground between like constructive criticism and just kind of
mhm.
like people just being upset with a map. Like
Oh yeah,
I've only released the one and it got like a good amount of comments and there are many people who were like
mhm.
this map is good but you should probably fix X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
and other people who are just like I think one of the comments, I'm going to try to quote it, but it's like I had an easier time getting into my sister's pants than I did playing this map.
Those are funny though, yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
and honestly, yeah, like I obviously take that criticism into account. Even when people like complain a bit harshly, like I definitely still take that into account. And a lot of people, for the most part, are really nice when it comes to that sort of thing.
mhm.
But that's just like there's always like a couple sour apples that are like really like oh my gosh. But like at the end of the day, it's just like keyboard warriors. Like it's not nothing like to worry about too much, you know.
Yeah, definitely like having people in the comments giving feedback. I always appreciate even if it's like something mean and saying like
Oh
this is
yeah,
the shittiest map. Like I'll never delete a comment unless it's like my
Yeah.
IP address. Then I might take some action there.
Yeah, so do I.
But
Yeah.
I always find like getting feedback, even if it's like overly fucking negative. I'm like,
Hmm.
well, it's good to have that discussion and for people
Yeah.
to see others' opinions on something that I've made,
Yeah.
because I don't want to get like fucking high and mighty about it. But you know, when I make something, I consider it like my art form, and I want to put
Mm.
myself into what I'm making, and getting people's opinions on that is very valuable to me, positive or
Yeah.
negative.
I definitely agree because that's like kind of how you get better at something. Like if you have everybody around you telling you something's really good when it's not, like it's just not going to be good. And sometimes you kind of need that the hard way. Someone's got to tell you, "Hey, this feature sucks," you know, and like that's something you like take into account and like work on. Because there's some people that like get that criticism and then they just go, "Oh, well, you suck."
Hmm.
But like, and like for some cases that may be true, but like it's definitely important to listen to like all the feedback you get, positive, negative, even cruel, like, you know, and that's kind of how you become a better map maker or just like a better game dev in general,
See,
or in anything you do, honestly.
I
Yeah.
find myself respecting the people who say something I made is shit over than the people who say
Mhm.
like, "Oh, this is really good. This is amazing." I'm like,
Yeah.
"What? No, this can't be amazing. No, this guy said it was a piece of
Oh, yeah.
shit. Look at it."
Yeah.
It's
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah.
I don't know. Respect might not be the correct word, but like I definitely like I don't
Hmm.
take positive feedback as well as I
Hmm.
do negative feedback. Like
Hmm.
it's a weird dichotomy there.
No, I can get that, especially like when you look back at something, you're like, okay, this is actually like not good. Like people like really love it. You feel like I don't know that.
Yeah, it's like I'm looking at the people who like it. I'm like, are you stupid? Like they're just a
Yeah.
bunch of fucking morons who like what the piece of shit that
Uh-huh.
I fucking made? Like, or am I
Yeah.
stupid for not liking it? And it's usually
Yeah.
I'm stupid for not liking it because
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
like yourself. I'm very like critical of the work that I put out.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I definitely agree. It's just like it kind of goes to show like how like, you know, no matter what level you're in, like there's always people that like will enjoy what you put out, and like even if you're afraid of like not putting something out because you think it's shit, there are definitely a lot of people that like will take joy in it. I feel like for the most part, as long as if you release something on the workshop and you do an attempt to make something good, people will enjoy it for what it is, and like they'll just and like and if it's like something that you can work on, like there's definitely people that can like help you through that, like that can help you like work to make it better.
I always find that like as much as people might not think it, the zombies customs community are very welcoming to
Mm-hmm.
people who are trying. Like I
Mm-hmm.
find when you're just like kind of doing it and you're like, I don't really give a shit. Like people can
Hmm.
tell and they know, but when you are trying to make something and you put
Yeah.
the effort in, people can see it and people want
Mm-hmm.
to help and see what you do next and make it better.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't have much of a closing here,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll just kind of push it off to you. Do you have anything to say to new mappers or kind of old mappers? Just anything of like inspiration. Can you give me some fig inspiration?
Figglebottom, let's see. Okay. Keep working on the projects that you enjoy, you know, even if they don't get a lot of engagement or likes, because that's not really what it's about. It's about making stuff that you want to make and having fun while doing it. And, uh, you know, like I'd still be making maps if nobody played them, you know, like, because I find them fun, and like the close circle of friends that I have find that it's fun. That's kind of like what it's all about, I feel like. So just keep making shit.
Just keep making shit. I love it.
Keep making shit.
Figglebottom, thank you so much for coming out. I
Of
really
course.
appreciated this. This was fantastic. I hope you have a
Yeah,
great night.
anytime, man. Yeah, you too.